Okay, welcome back, guys. Now it is time for game number 7 between mouz.MaNa, spawning as our green Protoss here in the top right-hand corner of Calm Before the Storm. His opponent here at the top left, that's SlayerS GanZi. MaNa took the first 3 games, but GanZi is on a 3-game win streak right now and looking very, very powerful. And the map is Calm Before the Storm, which of course has an expansion, much like Crevasse, like we were talking about there during the break between the games. And you have an expansion hidden inside of your main. It's only accessible through your main. Of course, it's on low ground versus the Crevasse high ground expansion. You still have a lot of paths through the middle, but they're all watched by just one Xel'Naga tower, so it's really important to take control of the choke points, which are quite narrow with actual units themselves.
Yeah, this is a map that a lot of Protoss have been liking in Protoss versus Terran, just because of those little kind of narrow walking paths. It makes Colossi very strong, it makes Storm very strong. A lot of the strengths of the Protoss endgame army really are amplified, I would think, by the way that this map is laid out. So yeah, not a surprising pick at all from MaNa. Question is he going to be able to use it against GanZi, who's kind of shown himself to be very unpredictable in what he does. And
so now MaNa's won GanZi's won a couple of games off of Quick Gas and then some variation of Cloaked Banshee into Siege Tank Marine. And we'll see if that trend continues here. Now, given the position on the maps, his natural is a little bit more accessible to MaNa, and of course that natural for GanZi is going to have to expand towards MaNa. And both players actually going for command structures first.
Yeah. And on a map like this, it's not terribly surprising. I mean, it is like Crevasse, so you do see a lot of command center first, Nexus first, Hatch first. Well, you see Hatch first all the time on any map.
Sure.
But you know what I mean. It's one of those maps where it's
Double
good for the macro game. That's right. This is also a map that's good for drop play, good for any sort of airplay, and that drop play can apply to MaNa just as much as it can to GanZi. There's been a lot of popular builds lately, especially on the Korean server, that involve some Warp Prism Harass in Protoss versus Terran, so maybe we'll see something like that.
I like those builds, so I certainly hope we see something along those lines.
Have to wait and see.
GanZi throwing up 2 racks at the same time after his CC goes up, though.
2 gate for MaNa, too.
There they are. You are correct.
Interesting. So with those 2 gateways going up, 2 gate before Cybercore, wonder if MaNa's going to just chrono boost out some Zealots and send them across the map, try to put some pressure on his opponent. If it would get into a situation where GanZi didn't have a bunker and just had a couple Marines there, those Zealots can be quite annoying for those first couple minutes in the game.
And we'll see. The Cybernetics score now coming up for MaNa, but you're absolutely right. But, you know, GanZi investing in those 2 barracks right away is going to have a fair number of units out on his own. Let's take a look. Both orbital commands now warping in at the same time. Or rather, morphing, I suppose. I don't know, what do you call that? Constructing? Upgrading?
Wait, what?
The orbital commands, do they morph? Do they construct?
I don't know. I've always said morphing, because morphing doesn't necessarily denotate some sort of organic change. It could be some sort of mechanical change as well, I suppose.
It just denotes Power Rangers to me, but that's fine.
It's morphin' time.
Go, go, Power
my
Rangers.
Sister, who is a voice actor, she actually knows the, I believe it's the original Black Power Ranger.
Oh, wow.
Out of the first 5, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And he does, it's morphin' time on command, apparently, too.
As well he should.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. All right, let's see here. Back on GanZi's side of things, we do have another command center coming up, so very, very fast third. Was started actually, wow, it basically exactly the 5-minute mark. And MaNa's putting up a sentry after this. Going to poke out with a couple of stalkers now, but doesn't look like he has much of an intention to go for his third quite yet.
Yep, he's playing things a little bit safer here, not trying to do that early Zealot push like I thought. I mean, with the 2 gateways, it kind of makes you wonder. I mean, that is something that used to be a bit popular back in the day, but you know, these days, especially on a bigger map, it's safer to send out those stalkers and just kind of poke a little bit.
And MaNa's going to do that poking, put on a little bit of pressure here, force back a couple of Marines.
Yeah.
Usually MaNa has very, very good control with his early game stalkers there, so he doesn't take too much permanent damage, and actually does manage to kill 1. Oh, wow, now taking some permanent damage. This is MaNa overextending himself a little bit more than I'm used to. He's only killed 1 Marine.
Yeah, I don't know why he's letting those stalkers take so much damage. I mean, obviously it's not worth it. He just needs to turn around and run for it.
Yeah.
In fact, he's in a position, where GanZi can kind of chase him a little while across the map, turning around just now. little bit of a risky move. Oh, I like what GanZi's doing. Check it out. He's getting, well, he's killing that probe. That's cool too. But
yes.
He's also getting 2 engineering bays. This is something his teammate SlayerS MMA loves to do in TVP. It's kind of a response to the double forge play that a lot of Protoss have been doing. Like Creator Prime is very popular for doing this type of thing. And QXC actually just made a post that illustrated something that a lot of Terrans have been figuring out, in that you can keep up on fast upgrades with a Protoss player, even with Chrono Boost. You know, for a long time, a lot of people were like, oh, Chrono Boost, no one can keep up with their upgrades.
Right.
Well, you actually can, and GanZi's going to show us that this game.
Okay, well, I like that. And, you know, if you're wondering, why Protoss players have been favoring the heavier upgrade play lately, of course, they did just, well, all their upgrades are now cheaper as of, we actually haven't patched StarCraft in quite a while, if you think about it, or a decent period of time.
I suppose,
But, yeah, we do have, Double Forge, Double Forge is pretty popular because of how cheap those upgrades are now. Add into the Chrono Boost on top of that, and they can just spam out upgrade after upgrade. But look at this, as you're mentioning, 1-1 is about halfway done. That factory going to finish up just the time that he can put an armory right after that and launch right into 2-2.
Yep, that's exactly right. So, and this heavy upgrade play can be really, really tough for Protoss to deal with too if they aren't going for those upgrades themselves. They'll have the tech, but a lot of times that Terran Bio Ball will just be able to just straight up power through what the Protoss army has.
And I like how he's showing a pack of Marines running across the map as well. That's going to, force MaNa to be a little bit more defensive and not try and pressure this, what's going to be a third base, as it's found out here.
Oh, and is he going to see the 2 engineering bay?
I think he's going to move right up there.
I think he will, yeah. And, yep, there he sees the double engineering bay and the armory as well, so he knows that +1/+1 is getting pretty close to being done, if not done already, which it is just finishing right about now in just a couple seconds here. So how is MaNa going to respond to this? That's the question.
Well, it looks like he's moving out onto the low ground at the very least. Whether it indicates an expansion, we'll find out here in a second if a probe decides to turn around. But could be an expansion one way or another. I think he's going to need to play a little bit of catch-up on upgrades on his own.
Oh, he's going to do some pressure, yeah. And GanZi kind of has an idea of what's coming on. And I like this. Already pulling the command center back, making plenty of bunkers. He knows if he can survive this, he'll be in great shape, just kind of doing some scouting with that factory. Yeah, GanZi is just playing beautifully here these last 3 games.
All right, warping in some units now on the high ground. He's got a fair number of Immortals in tow. Of course, he does have the upgrade disadvantage, but he's going to attack before 2-2 is underway. And largely, if this attack fails, as you mentioned, not only is he dead, but he's dead also because he has no possible way to catch up to 2-2 upgraded units in any way, shape, or form, nor a 3-base economy. So this has to work for MaNa.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same push we saw last game, but with those 3 bunkers there getting repaired, I don't know, 1 bunker goes down. The Immortals are still going strong.
Yeah,
nothing
they are.
like EMP or anything like that. And, MaNa actually doing a good amount of damage with this so far, but just, okay, does get all the bunkers. Okay, things actually starting to look a little bit risky now for GanZi.
Definitely. More units are reinforcing pretty quickly now, warping in a couple of Zealots as well. He's pushing GanZi back quite a bit. There's not too many more bio units on the ground. All of the SCVs are pulled as well, and GanZi just wants to hold at all costs.
Yeah, really nice force fields. Big stim from SlayerS GanZi. Is going to try to get in there and do as much damage as he possibly can. That is a lot of Marines, but GanZi is losing a good amount of SCVs with this too. He will be able to hold, but look at that. 36 workers killed by mouz.MaNa. That certainly takes a chunk out of the economy.
Yes, it does. Wow. But GanZi is now going to be on 2-2. That's not been threatened.
He was actually like 20 supply ahead too. Well, more like 10, but
still, yeah. He's going to be, his 3rd base is saved.
Those
he's
upgrades,
way up on upgrades. Yeah.
They're pretty strong.
Yes, they
Force
are.
field's not doing a whole lot, and now GanZi's going to be able to chase MaNa potentially all the way back to his base, especially after killing that sentry.
Yeah. Yeah, that got really risky there, but MaNa wasn't able to clean up the majority of the forces, and because GanZi could sacrifice a large portion of his economy and still be fine because he had that 3rd command center floating around, he ends up in a very advantageous position.
Yep, exactly. SCVs are such a great buffer for damage in those situations. And that Marine, yep, I think GanZi knows about this Warp Prism. I'd say there's a pretty safe chance of that.
Yes.
So don't really anticipate this doing a whole lot. His 2nd turret going down just in case, but GanZi is pretty far ahead at this point.
Let's see if MaNa runs up there in just a second. Actually, dropping in right here is probably a better suggestion than anywhere else, but still, I mean, it's not a good situation for him.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like he's just going to use it for a forward pylon. Now, GanZi doesn't have any bunkers, but 2-2 against 0-0 is going to make this Bioforce really, really difficult to kill.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I would say nigh impossible, actually.
Yeah. Starting
Let's see.
+3 weapons already, and we're only at the 14-minute mark. Yeah, Terran can upgrade fast if they want to, that's for sure.
There you go, guys. As that is explicitly shown there by GanZi. We'll see what he can do to hold off this push. MaNa just kind of grasping at straws. Needs this to work. Needs this to basically kill his opponent. And it is not going to do that. Those Zealots being just obliterated before they're able to do any real damage.
Yeah, you can really see the strength of the upgrades here.